One moment. One moment. Let me just turn on the recording. Okay, Melanie, you are live.
Thank you so much, and welcome everybody. It's an honor to join Bernie and Tiffany and all these amazing presenters with your great energy at Accelerate 2020. So happy New Year. I'd love to start by introducing myself, but on the same token, I'd love your help if you're in the Facebook group or you're in the chat. Introduce yourselves. Let me know who you are, because this is all about building relationships. And maybe there's somebody in the chat who we can think of ways to introduce each other and connect each other later. That'd be great. My name is Melanie Richards, and I am a girl from the Bronx who is now a marketing coach and the founder of Increase Your Visibility. And as I was just saying to Tiffany and some of the speakers a little bit behind the scenes, a real good reminder of that is that we don't necessarily know where to start. And especially in terms of relationships. You know, I was a girl from the Bronx. Mom is a teacher. I'm a teacher's kid and a bus driver's daughter. And mom always said, be careful who you sit next to on the bus or the subway. And she said that because she put her 14-year-old on the New York City subway to go to high school. And I'd love to start there, is that no matter what stage we are in our business or what phase we are, whether we're trying to build relationships in person or online, there's a little bit of nerves behind there because we're not necessarily sure who to trust or whether a relationship is going to go from Survivor Island or to Fantasy Island. It's probably the best way to say it. We're really not sure who we're going to sit next to, who we're going to be comfortable with, and who's going to help us build relationships. And another challenge is we're doing it either online. When I started, online was not an option. So this has become a more comfortable zone for me to build relationships in the last 3 years. And I owe a big thank you to Marcia McCrae, who has a busy entrepreneur's guide. It really helped me start to express my voice online. Somebody else who was really helpful with that is Stephanie Treasure. And I wouldn't have thought of online. I was the face-to-face kid. You know, I always have a pen. I had to put my pen down before when Jen and Amelia were talking this morning. You know, always have a pen or a highlighter. And that's how I built relationships, by taking notes. And I always had these on, my glasses. And I found by wearing them in my own style that I kind of was in my own head. And I think that's the one thing I'd love to encourage people today to do, is to take a step outside of that, whether you're building relationships face-to-face or you're building them online. Really have to be you, whoever you is at that moment. And with whatever time you have, I was a part-time entrepreneur and a full-time employee with a 3-hour commute in the beginning. I didn't have a lot of time to build relationships. So it was weekends or a day off or a comp day. So I could go meet clients, and I had to stack it all on one day. And the real part is really just breathe and just kind of be you. In the beginning for me, and now this is year 17 of being an entrepreneur and year 14, 15 of doing it full time. I think one of the challenging things was in the beginning, I didn't know where to start. So I joined the chamber, and I'm grateful now to know 2 talented friends who help people with relationships with chambers. But in the beginning, I joined the chamber because there was no other place to go. It was the only place to potentially meet 2,700 businesses. So I started there. And chambers may seem cost prohibitive to some, a little intimidating, but I was in promotional products at the time. And I was like, oh, I have pens, I have business cards, I'll start there. And I didn't know where to go, fortunately. And I'm grateful for really good people who always help me get adopted. And a wonderful woman says, join the Small Business Committee. That's where 80% of the members are. Go to their events and you'll meet people quickly. I went there, grateful. Someone in my industry was there. They didn't make it the most welcoming place, but the chairs of the committee were amazing mentors at helping me figure out how to build relationships and stay comfortable. And after a little while, I started going to their networking mixers and events, and weird things started happening. Like you feel like you're getting side eye, for lack of a better word. One day I introduced myself at a networking mixer, and 3 people kind of snorted and laughed in a corner. And I was like, whoa, what did I say that made them react that way? Really made me a little uncomfortable. And I'm grateful. I went over and asked somebody afterwards, what did I say that was so funny? She said, you said you help not-for-profits. I said, I do. She said, you said you love to work with them. I said, I do. She says, everybody says that. Really made me really self-conscious. And I was grateful after that people brought me to BNI. I'm a BNIer for almost 14 years. It's a series of networking organizations. They're in almost 60 countries. And if you're looking for relationships to build referrals, check out Dr. Ivan Meisner. He's the founder. Really great content behind that. Also check out America's Supermom. Lachelle, she just did an amazing interview with him. It's really down to earth. And I think one of the things I'd love to say to you is whether you're building them online or in person, whether you're a full-time employee, whether you're in direct sales, whether it's your business, whether you're dreaming of it being your business, really just start. And online groups, I was in them and really wasn't active until Marcia helped me find a key a couple of years ago. And the key was me. So I'd love to say now I'm more active in Facebook groups, but you really have to figure out where to start. So let's help you figure out where to start. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to move from what I would describe kind of as the love story, where do I begin? And we're going to talk about defining where you want to start. Think about debriefing, meaning you started, you're not so sure yet, you're collecting some feedback, and you're trying to figure out yes, no, or discard. And that sounds tough when we're trying to build relationships. And I'm not saying it about discarding people. I have pockets of business cards that I collect from events, and I'll put the name of the event or places with my notes and some cards I collected in like a little plastic bag. And 6 months later, I'll really look at that. Who did I connect with on Facebook or LinkedIn? Who did I meet live in person? Whose card is in there who I learned a little bit about that I could introduce to somebody else? So I think that's what I mean about the discard part for me. It's not a matter of not giving it a chance, but maybe it's introducing them to someone else. Another thing I'd love to talk to you about is the ROE and the ROO. Let's call those calls to connect and engage. In the old days, we would talk about return on investment. And when I first started networking, I realized I was investing time and energy in building relationships, but I didn't really have a way to measure it. You know, my old boss would have said, measure it in terms of sales. It didn't seem right to me. So over the years in testing, from going from promotional products to marketing coach, I've helped people test it now in about 58 different industries. So I call them calls to connect and engage. They're not really calls to action because you don't know, and we don't know what's going to inspire somebody. Like, I'm really grateful for meeting Tiffany. I met Tiffany in a group on a day where I had a rant going. I had interviewed business coaches and somebody wasn't as gracious as I would have liked them to be during a discovery call. And it reminded me that I needed to be true to me. So I shared my mission in a group. And that's how I met Tiffany. She's like, oh, well, come join me. I'm in a group. That group's safe. And boy, was she right. But the other part about it is we need to follow up and think of those calls to connect and engage, the ROE and the ROO, as ways to help you open new doors, ways to help you follow up to find out if something really resonates. Because really, we're just trying to build the relationships to either find a great coach, find a great mentor, find potential clients, find team members. Sometimes it's just we're in transition. I rebranded, and that was one of the hardest things that I could do. And you need a lot of support. And in the process, I ended up really building new relationships. So let's take a little bit of a deep dive. And we're going to try the screen share. And I'm grateful, Tiffany, for having practiced this part. And we're gonna check it out and see how we can help you. And please, I'm a teacher's kid. Please keep the questions coming. And I promise to peek at Facebook. So hopefully the screen is up and everybody can kind of see it. And we're just going to take a little tour. So ROE and ROO are two terms, calls to connect and engage, that we're going to talk about in a little bit. And this was me from the beginning. Let me know if you can see the screen. That would be amazing. And if you can't see the screen, Tiffany, please chime in, let me know. But this was me in the beginning. And it kind of felt like I was saying, from a full-time employee to a part-time entrepreneur to a full-time business owner, it kind of felt in the beginning like analysis paralysis. It really was overwhelmed. It's really the where do I begin part. And we talked a little bit about that. I think that depending on what type of business you have and who you're trying to reach and what the relationship is, this is where it starts out. Where do I begin? Am I trying face-to-face? Am I trying online? Am I using blogs, podcasts, emails, newsletters? Am I inviting people to a storefront? What are the different ways that I'm trying to reach people? And I'm putting back on the glasses. I think one of the things that Keista taught us about this yesterday, when we're using scripts in phone calls, or Francis kicked us off yesterday, Francis Richards, and was talking about podcasts. There are so many different ways to start. If you're online, and a good friend, Bill McCormick, he's with somebody called Social Sales Link. If you're on LinkedIn or on Google, check out the hashtag SSL Insights. He has some amazing tips on how to build your business on LinkedIn. But Bill said we have to be careful of what he calls random acts of social. So we start here. And the real thing that helped me move from here was ways to find inspiration and ways to treasure it. A sales coach suggested I start a gratitude journal. I was really, really appreciative for that. And Susan McVeigh suggested it. She's got an amazing group called Successful Sales Strategies. She's in British Columbia, I think. And she suggested the gratitude journal. I use it to inspire my steps, use it to inspire my dreams, and use it because on long or gray days, we're really not sure who we're going to meet. We really want a master key. And this has become one that I've used with clients. This helped me go from invisible to be visible to be profitable. We're looking for an express ramp. We really just want to figure out how to get there fast. And unfortunately, or fortunately, there's no shortcut to building really good relationships. It's the same way there's no shortcut to building an infrastructure for our brands or our business. So I'd love to encourage you what Tiffany saw me do earlier and teased me about. Take a breath, slow it down, just show up, smile, follow up, and repeat. But in the process, really watch your step, really watch and play with your approach, your pace, your style. I've especially found for myself and with clients, really had to learn how to do that online. In the process of building relationships, I started a group coaching program this fall. And one of the things that I found is I have a bunch of clients in there now who are coaches. They're looking for their first sale. We have to start someplace, but just really try to mix it up. And we talked before about debriefing or defining and determining, try to think of ways to do that before you take the next step. So ROE, as I learned this really because of events and from moving from promotional products into event marketing, and now been able to help experiment with myself, with the rebrand, with clients in their businesses, something I call ROE. ROE, if you add this to the return on investment model, if you add the return on energies and the return on engagement, think of them to ways to measure. I'm always looking to build relationships that are really positive, that'll help myself or a client or somebody get unstuck. I'm looking for things with really positive energies. And in the process of building my business and walking a faith walk, I'm looking for, things that are spiritually inspiring and return on engagement, not the likes in return in response to a post, but the comments from people that are like leading us someplace, that are showing us how we can show up and help others, how we can show up and serve others. And that's really what I think of in the engagement. Others may think, if they're hosting events, of how many people show up, how many team members join them in direct sales, how many people are buying a new product or service or responding to a launch. Let me know what that might mean to you in terms of engagement. I'd love to talk more about that. Besides that, the ROO is return on opportunities and return on objectives. And the opportunities part really means different things to each of us. In some cases, I was looking to meet potential coaches. I was lucky to locate coaches really quickly at the chamber. I found an amazing business coach on vacation. I was interviewing coaches last summer because I'm looking for people, as I was launching new programs, I was looking for a different kind of support. And really define what those opportunities are for you. The objectives part, it could be a sales number. It could be what I learned in my first networking presentation, which was go out and try and meet 3 people face to face. One person who maybe I could help, one person who could be a potential client, and one person just who we were just having an interesting conversation. It really helped me at live events, just meet 3 people. Online, I just did a challenge that was a little bit intimidating, and I'm grateful it inspired me to launch a new business page called Driven Audience. And as a part of that, they wanted us to meet 20 people, send 20 friend requests on Facebook a day. I wasn't comfortable with it. If it was me trying it online, I think I'd try maybe 4 or 5, because you need to follow up. So as part of your objectives, think of the way that you're going to follow up. The really cool part about this is I learned through the ROE and the ROO to aim bigger. I was inspired as a teacher's kid to become an actress from watching beautiful Ruby Dee in Raisin in the Sun. And a wonderful, talented woman who we met invited me to, when I was moving into being a marketing coach, she gave me an opportunity to participate in some of her gift projects and in some of her marketing solutions projects. And this project, 1 or 2 projects I had a chance to participate in, but it didn't work out to be the great opportunity. And as part of her kind of apology, she invited us to the Schomburg. And I was there with my mom and my aunt and my beautiful, beautiful family. And one of the things that I noticed was Ruby Dee and David Dinkins were sitting opposite me. I remember David Dinkins as one of those early votes that I thought I could cast as an adult that, would be a game changer. And he's the mayor of New York. It was amazing to meet them and all these celebrities. It reminded me too that this relationship had then put me in a room with a childhood idol. So it's a real reminder, as you're reach really, really, really high. And I loved it too, because earlier, I think that Amelia mentioned Tony Robbins and mentioned trying to get to Oprah. And, I never thought that I would see Ruby D, and this was just life changing. And I think that leads me into back where I really want to take you to, which is in the calls to connect and engage, to use the ROE and the ROO. There's what I call the 6 C's. And the 6 C's are things for us to think about and be mindful about as we're trying to build relationships. We need to figure out which of these 6 C's fit our industry, our location, our styles, our services, our products, as well as our markets. What markets are we trying to reach? And when do we use them? So I'd love to know your feedback if any of these you feel will help you unlock new doors, will help you increase your relationships, your conversions from prospects to clients, and help you generate some revenue. So the first one is kind of a master C, and that's communication. We really need it as part of building the relationships to keep others informed, comfortable, and happy. And in the process of it, whether we're building relationships in person or online, to really think about how long do you feel is polite for a response? What's the etiquette in person or online? As you're trying to build a relationship, does the timeline on how we communicate or how often we communicate change if it's a relationship that's resulting as part of an introduction by or to someone else, or a referral? Does that change the timeline? Does it change your style? We talked before about kind of the approach and the pace. Think of how to modify this, whether you're doing it online, whether you're using Messenger or SMS, short message service, or direct messages on Instagram. Those can kind of feel like communication on steroids. Or somebody was talking before about having a really full inbox in your emails. We really need to think of the pace that we're communicating. And also, when you have a chance, if you really want to set yourself apart in relationships, those thank you notes, something written from the heart, a gift is amazing. And mixing up our styles so that you follow up with ease and with great timing. But really, think about communication and how you can avoid overwhelm or fatigue. We talked about it before. If you go to a lot of events, or your schedule is jam-packed, or you're not really feeling it, you really may need help. And especially if you're building email lists, and if you're using social media or social selling to increase your sales fast. And like I said before, Bill McCormick, somebody I adore who's helped me with communication a lot on LinkedIn, Bill says to avoid random acts of social. Another really helpful person in terms of building a communication style for me has been Jeffrey Davis. He's a psychologist and an author, and he's got a group and a brand called Tracking Wonder. And he really reminds us, do it together is better than do it yourself. And it's really helped me figure out a frequency in terms of how many times I'll reach out to contact somebody. What's comfortable for them? What's comfortable for me? What's a way to communicate that makes someone know that you're interested in building a relationship or that you're excited? And when we're communicating, we really don't know which step is going to trigger a response and if we'll get one. It's really challenging, but think of this in between every step. And I know it's a bit, so let's get to the easier C's. The next one is conceive. And conceive is, if you think of this as you're building relationships, in what new ways are you going to build your brand with clarity and show ways that your products, your services, your solutions fit in today's market? it it can be a game changer when we're working with a coach or working with a solutions provider, or hiring somebody to help us with social media, or to write a blog, or to create content for a website. But I'd love to know how you would use it. The next one is collaborate. And this I think of as ways to identify people we want to connect with, whether they're live or virtual, to think of potential clients, potential coaches, groups we can join, mentors, strategic alliances who can help us turn our wish list into action steps, and who can help us reach and refine our goals. And one of the things I loved about Collaborate was a quote shared by one of my group members in my group coaching program. Her name is Sammy Gross, and Sammy's with Crawford Coaching. And Sammy says, be stubborn about your goals and flexible about your method. I thought that was a really cool thing in terms of Collaborate. Create. We talked about this before. How are you identifying opportunities? Do you want to create them? And in some cases, deflate them. They're not, every relationship's not a good fit for us, whether it's a personal or a professional relationship. And in some cases, and I'm a real good believer in staying true to yourself, and in a respectful way, letting somebody know when something's not a good fit for you. We can't build positive relationships with everybody. And in business, we really need to almost be really picky and really selective about them. And one of my clients was they exhibit at a really large show. It's a cybersecurity firm, and they exhibit annually at the Black Hat Conference in Vegas. And one year they had a new marketing person, and they're preparing for the show. And someone called the office from the James Bourne movie studio. They were filming a movie, and they found our client, and they wanted to film a chase scene through their booth at the show. And it would have given them tremendous exponential press. They were working on so many large projects in connection with the show that the message never reached the new marketing person. That's the type of opportunities they would have loved to create. And that would have been a really good one. So it's a really good reminder, when you're creating, share what matches you're looking to light with others so they can help us. Connect is the fifth call to connect and engage. And some people may say, why isn't this number one? It's really because the communication is kind of the core to all of it. And as you're trying to connect, it's really about trying to create a memorable experience. And hopefully, as we're building relationships, whether we're doing them online or in person, we're finding a way to help people engage by being ourselves, by showing we're willing to help them, and by giving thanks and showing gratitude. But really, with this step, kind of think of if there's a next step with everyone you meet. One of my clients was moving into a nonprofit arena, and she was moving into nonprofits, and she went into nonprofits, and we were at a conference, and it was really hard for her to figure out who she was connecting with. She didn't really know how to rank the conversations, and that's what we ended up. She was an organizer. She needed to rank, who do I call first? Who do I drive to? Who do I go see? How do I debrief from this? And that leads us to convert. And converting is, how are we inviting others in and into our process? I use green paper clips at events to remind me that a dollar-shaped clip to remind me that that card's important and may lead to revenue. I put cards next to my driver's license. And in the old days, I put them next to my debit cards. And that leads us to a conference I went to. This was a conference I was invited to. I wasn't sure how to write the bio. I was in the middle of rebranding. I was invited to be on a success panel. It was a little intimidating. The good part was, to my right in this picture is a good friend who also was intimidated. And we really talked about the aha moments. It was my first time on a panel. I was really nervous, had to really take some breath. There were opportunities to create a lot of relationships. At the end of the day, I met somebody who has an Airbnb. She now hosts my retreats. I met potential marketing clients. This is the day that led to me being more confident in groups. And it was a really cool thing. But one of the things that I learned was there weren't a lot of people there who looked like me. And that can be challenging when you're trying to build relationships. We're looking for that in groups and in person, and we're not really sure of that. So I was grateful because a couple of years later, this was Lorraine Pendleton, a venture capitalist. She was the keynote speaker. And I sent her a LinkedIn request while she was speaking, and she accepted it a while later. And I was able to thank her for being a game changer, for changing the atmosphere and changing the environment and offering us financial solutions and inspiring me to not be just a commodity or a local brand, but to build a global one. And really, you need that inspiration. So don't hesitate to reach out to people who are speaking because they are absolutely, absolutely amazing. And she was really great and helped a lot of us towards thinking of how to finance next levels. I really want to thank Bernie and Tiffany for everything that they've done in putting this together to give us an opportunity. And I want to share with you some ways to connect with me later and to check back and see if you have any comments or any questions. The first link is to the freebie, the Be Visible Engagement Map, which can help you build some momentum as you're trying to build relationships. And the second way is a way to connect with me on other social media platforms and find us on groups. And I really, really, really am really grateful for the time, but I'm going to check in and see what kind of questions we have. And I know teacher's kid, I didn't mean to go express, but I really appreciate your time and your energy today. Tiffany, I'm going to need your help with this because I want to check on Facebook also and see if there are any questions that I'm missing that are in the chat.
Okay. I'll get the questions for you.
Thanks. I'm going to peek too, but I think it's the hard thing as we're building relationships. And I laugh because I always have to take off my glasses, but whether just do it in your own style and start somewhere. And if you need help, invite a friend. And Francis, thank you so much. Yes, Francis Richards. I'm so excited. Francis sent me a "You Go Girl" message, and I sent her one yesterday, watching her kick off. It was really a lot of fun watching the summit. I am learning a tremendous amount by watching all of you and learning from you and with you.
Melanie, I don't see any questions.
That's fabulous. I think one of the cool parts is relationships are overwhelming, and it's a real reminder to take them slow and take them at our own pace. I'm just grateful to you also because you help reinforce my faith. I helped clients meet people in person and online, and we never know what will stick. We never know what relationship will become a game changer, which will lead to a big client or to a new strategic alliance or to a new partner. I'm grateful though to have found more courage in groups like yours, because I think being an introvert, we're not really sure where to start. We can hang out in groups and not make comments for years. I as a process of preparing for your summit and doing a recent challenge, I started actually engaging with some people whose groups, I've been in their groups for years, and I never made a post. You know, you're showing up to learn, you're showing up hoping for connection. And yeah, that comment about the gratitude journal, that was a really, Narisa put that up. That was a really big game changer. It really helped take smaller steps that kind of really felt like me, and really eventually it taught me really to trust my intuition, that if, you know, you're meeting somebody online and trying to build a relationship, and their next step is to send you something that's salesy, or something that maybe isn't the best fit for you. Like running into that physical trainer at a wedding expo. I was there collecting information to work and kind of serve and prepare a presentation. Yes, I could have used a physical trainer, but you know, it's, you have people walking after you at events and trying to connect with you online, and we're not sure where they're going to lead. So, Tiffany, I'm going to be one of those leave early girls to give you a chance to catch your breath in between your next presenter. And I really want to thank you and Bernie again for just the opportunity to just connect and explore more in BBMW's wonderful community, and to learn from lots of other dynamic speakers. We really need the positive energies to take big steps and to take steps forward. We need people to support us. One of my early supports, and I really appreciate it, was a photographer. And he's a filmmaker now. And in the beginning, he was moving into photography, and he was worried people wouldn't take him seriously because he had been in direct sales. And this was a big step for him. So he started wearing a t-shirt. I shoot people for fun and profit. And the t-shirt would start the conversation, because as a photographer, there were people who had been doing it for years and he didn't know how to distinguish himself. But it was a great way to build relationships. So I'd love to leave you with that. Take some steps. If you're trying to find people at chambers or online, definitely reach out. I would love to connect. And I wish you all a happy and new year, a prosperous one, a healthy one, and an amazing and profitable day. Thanks so much. Take care. Have a great day.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Melanie. These were great tips on connecting with people. Thank you so much. This was great.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay, you too, Melanie. I'll put you back to attendee mode.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Give me one moment.